There's my mouth. And I'm gonna put my eyes, I think, right pretty close to here. So I don't want them too far back. I think I'll put them here. I don't have ears going back here. So I'm gonna make sure you flatten out your sock each time. It's equal on both sides. I'm going to show you first. You're going to draw kind of like the big arches. I'm going to use a straight edge with that. So eyeballing it. And then I'm just going to set it right here on this side and kind of trace around so I know they're both equal. They look the same. When you get to working with smaller elements, it's kind of hard to eyeball those and make them both exactly the same size. Make sure I'm cutting inside of that line. So again, you can do sewing on this. You can stitch anything you want. Another thing to keep in mind, this is all felt, so it's pretty thick. And when you work with hot glue, you don't really see the residue coming through. If you're working with something that's more silk based or a little bit thinner fabric, for example, if you're bringing this out like this muslin, it's very super thin, you would see that glue coming through it. So do keep in mind, the thicker the fabric, sometimes it's best to work with the glue. So I also have some like found objects that I took from some silk flowers. They had these cut out leaves. It's kind of like a felt, a little bit, but kind of thin. So I'm going to create some eyelashes. And since I know that those would go behind my eye, that's the first thing I want to make sure I put down, and I'll glue that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to collect these. I'm going to just put them in the order that I want here. And here's my puppet at the top of my head here. I'm going to put some glue down where I think I want these to be. Press down on that. And then I will cover that up with more. Easier. Now, as I look at this, I think there's kind of like a straight line. Maybe I don't like that, so I think I'm going to round that out a little bit. So these are going to be glued down. This I'm going to keep straight, the straight is the other option. So then, so I have a lot of glue here. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try to see, I probably can't get my needle through there. This line going through, it can be something decorative if you like it. If you don't want it to show, then you need to make sure you have it that have a thread that matches your fabric or felt. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with it. And I'm pulling pretty tight, so there's no slack, but not too tight. But anytime you're doing like a big bead like this, you're going to to go through it 3 or 4 times. So to tie this off, I'm going to make a little loop. Go through it twice, like we've been doing, and pull tight. So now that kind of mimics the scalloped edge of the leaves within the eye. I kept going on the leaves if I wanted. So the difference of this eye versus another one I'm going to show you is that this one is flat on here. So it's going to have a different look when you have your puppet on your hand. So it's going to be flatter. It's not going to be kind of like up, like so. If you want that to kind of puff out, you can create little balls behind there, and that will hold that up for you. I'm going to show you how to do an eyeball that stands up, which is the same concept here. And since I want this to show, I'm going to come from the other side and see if that will kind of pull it. So I'm always trying to stay close to where I come in and out. When I get to the point where you just push through and you go straight through your bead. We have 2 different eyes. And I'm going to keep this straight because I want this to stand up versus being flat. And I'll do the same thing. I'll create some eyelashes so you see the difference of what it looks like if it's on the ball where I want these to go.
And then I'm going to glue this to here. Now you're going to notice I used my pen on here, and if you don't want to see that, we could create a nice backing behind that so it covers that imperfection. So people don't see your stitching behind it. And this would be a nice element to kind of do that stitching around to give it a nice clean finish. And I'm going to put some glue around the seam and kind of smash it against that little puffball.
So these are pretty small. You can get pretty large ones if you'd like. We have, something a little more crazy. You can see the difference.